Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And it's great to have you guys here as well, but you're not of any importance today. It's all about mothers today. And I said a couple of weeks ago that I was going to give a second part to my sermon. I'm going to do that next week. And because I was told, or I was asked by my mother last night, you're going to do a Mother's Day message, aren't you? And I was like, I guess so. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at a mother. There's lots of mothers that we can talk about in the in Scripture. We think of Mary as being a particular one mother that we always think about. We can talk about Hannah, and we can talk about Naomi, and there's just all kinds of different mothers that did some amazing things along the way. But we're going to talk one that we may not have heard of before, and I'll wait till a little bit before we get to who that mother is. But I want us to look at a familiar passage, one that we don't look at a lot, but in Proverbs 31. And it's a definition of what mothers and wives are like, a good wife. Now, we typically, when we think of Proverbs, we think that these are the Proverbs of Solomon. This was not one of Solomon's Proverbs, and you might understand pretty quickly why it wasn't when you read it. But it's interesting because there's another passage that's part of this which we don't look at a lot in the first 9 verses here, and it's the sayings of King Lemuel. And how many have ever heard of King Lemuel? Only from Scripture here. But these are the sayings of King Lemuel. But listen to this. An inspired utterance his mother taught him. So these are some things that Lemuel's mother taught him. And he goes on to expel also and talk about a wife of noble character, which we know a lot about. But let's look at some of the wise things that Lemuel's mother taught him along the way. She says, listen, my son. Has your mother ever said that to you? I don't think it's just for sons, it's for daughters as well. You know, listen. It's normally with a finger in our family. Listen to me, and listen good, okay? Listen, my son, son of my womb. Listen, this is the third time. Listen, do you think that some of the time we as kids have a problem, an attention deficit problem? So she's saying, listen, listen, the son of my womb. Listen to me. I've got some advice for you. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. We don't normally hear about passages on beer, but this is a passage on beer. Where she gives him some advice that, don't, you got to be careful with it. But she goes on, let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. That's some pretty good advice. You need to be careful. Is she saying that drinking's wrong? And that you can answer that yourself. That's your own conclusion. If you get to the point where you're drunk, then obviously it's wrong. Drunkenness is wrong scripturally. If you have a problem with wine, then talk to Jesus about the first miracle that he did, changed water to wine. And there's all kinds of instances where there was drinking. Obviously, the apostles drank because they were accused of being drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, "Oh, we weren't drunk. it was only 9 in the morning. So if it was maybe later at night, well, anyway. And then in verse 8, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. That's good advice. She's saying, you need to watch out for those who are poor, for those who are needy, for those who are in distress, who are going through rough times. You see the guy that's standing on the street corner, he's having a rough time. You see the widow, you see the mother that's going through a rough time. I want you to defend her. I want you to not just look at your own life, and I don't want you to look at all the prosperity that you can get. I don't want you to just go out there and party and drink and have a good time. I want you to look and take care of those who are going through a rough time. That's good advice from a mother. And she's saying, listen to me, son. I want you to listen to me. These are some good things. It goes on. And he starts and he talks about the wife of a noble character. And we've heard this. Well, you haven't heard it from me because I don't think I've ever read it publicly here in Sundridge, but it's a good passage for us to look at what a wife is, and it also ends off with what a good mother is. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies, and that's why I say this is not a psalm or a proverb of Solomon. He had way too many wives, and maybe he was saying, had a problem, who can find a good wife? So he kept trying to find one. I don't think that was the situation with Solomon, but anyway, a wife of noble character who can find. She's worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night and provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate when he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I don't know, and I can only imagine, maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but when women go off and have retreats together, maybe this is one of the passages that gets spoken about. Of, maybe this is, when guys get together and we have our retreats, whenever we do, or if we do, we talk about things that matter to the heart of a male. And I would say this would be a passage that women would want to emulate, that they would want to, can I be like this woman? Can I be a noble woman like this? Can I be a noble wife? Can I be a noble mother to my children? And this is what the writer here, Lemuel, is saying, is like, these are the characteristics of what a good mother, what a good wife is. And we can go through and we can see some of these attributes that he talks about and say, yeah, that was my mother. the first thing that I saw, she gets up while it's still night and she provides food for her family. I don't know how many Sunday or Saturday nights I can remember my mother being up early, early in the morning doing what? Making buns for whoever was visiting at church that Sunday to make sure there was food to be able to invite those people afterwards. And cinnamon rolls later on in life. That was great. My boys always loved to go to Grandma's house because very, very early in the morning, she was up and she'd start the night before and she'd set them out, but she was up early in the morning. And there's all kinds of different things that I can think about of how my mother, and my mother's not here today, she's not feeling great, that, emulate this passage. And it's for those things that we need to remember and also honor. Remember the good things that our mothers did for us and we appreciate. And, for some of us, our mothers aren't here anymore. And it's hard to do that. But we can remember what they did for us and we can appreciate from them. And what they did for us, if we could then emulate them in our own lives. Be able to be the mothers and wives that we need to be. I'm talking we as you guys, you women. But I said we were going to look at a woman that we don't normally look at. How many have ever heard of the Shunammite widow? Or not the Shunammite widow, the Shunammite woman? Turn your Bibles to 2 Kings chapter 4, and we're going to look at the Shunammite's son today. In 2 Kings chapter 4, we have a picture here of a mother. When we're introduced to her, she's not a mother. And Elisha speaks into her life. We'll read that. In verse 8, one day Elisha went to Shunem, and a well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husband, I know that this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room on the roof and put in a bed and a table and a chair and a lamp for him, and then he can stay there whenever he comes to us. I can just imagine what the husband's thinking. Oh dear, she wants to redecorate. And she's most likely, she was a woman of means, but she was most likely also frugal, and she's most likely, don't worry about it. I'll go to Value Village. I'll find something. Maybe I'll find something on Facebook. We'll get a nice bed for him, and we don't have to spend a lot of money. But this is a man of God, and I think that it would be prudent for us to invite him to stay in our home whenever he's in town. He's basically a traveling missionary. And, he's a man of God, and we need to take him in. What's interesting about this woman is we really don't know what her past was. But she had a reverence for God and God's people. And she invites God into her house. If there's anything that we can learn about this woman, it's that she was willing to invite God into her life. I like that. And here this lady, she sees this opportunity. It starts with him. She sees him walking along and, hey, you want to come to our place for dinner? And then she gives out the blanket invitation that anytime you're in town, just know that you've got a safe place, you've got a place to come and have a meal. And then she gets this bright idea, let's put an apartment in our house, and we can invite him to stay. Apparently they do it. In verse 11, one day when Elisha came, he went up to his room and he laid down there. And he said to his servant Gehazi, call the Shunammite. So he called her and stood before him, and Elisha said to him, "Tell her, have you gone to all this trouble for us? Now, what can be done for you? Can we speak on your behalf to the king or to the commander of the army?" Now, it's interesting. I don't know whether she spoke a different language and he needed an interpreter through his servant or so on and so forth, but he doesn't speak directly to her. He speaks to his servant who is also traveling. So when he was traveling, he also had an entourage with him that she also had to take care of and feed. So she was highly hospitable. But he asked her, is there anything that this woman needs? Like, should we implore the king or, what should we do on her behalf? And she replied, "I have a home among my own people. I'm doing okay." Verse 14, "What can be done for her?" Elisha asked. And Gehazi said, "She has no son, and her husband is old." We've kind of heard this idea before with Sarah. She's old, she's not going to be able to have a son, and then an angel comes and she's blessed with that, and she became a great mother. But in verse 15 it says, "Then Elisha said, 'Call her.' So he called her, and he stood in the doorway. And about this time next year, Elisha said, 'You will hold a son in your arms.' 'No, my lord,' she objected. 'Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant.' But the woman became pregnant, and the next year, about the same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had told her. The child grew, and one day he went out to his father, who was with the reapers, and he said to his father, 'My head, my head.' His father told a servant, 'Carry him to his mother.' After the servant had lifted him up and carried him to his mother, the boy sat on the lap until noon, and then he died. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and then shut the door and went out. She called her husband and said, 'Please send me one of the servants and a donkey so I can go to the man of God quickly and return.' 'Why go to him today?' he asked. It's not the new moon or the Sabbath.' 'That's all right,' she said. And she saddled the donkey and said to her servant, 'Lead on. Don't slow down for me unless I tell you.' So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant Gehazi, 'Look, there's the Shunammite. Run to meet her and ask her, "Are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right?" 'Everything is all right,' she said." Listen to that. That's an interesting response. Everything's all right. No, not everything's all right. Is there a inference here of great faith on her part? That the man of God was going to take care of her in a great way? I think so. Verse 27, when she reached the man of God at the mountain, she took hold of his feet. Gehazi came over to push her away, but the man of God said, "Leave her alone. She's in bitter distress, but the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why." And then she says, "Did I ask you for a son, my Lord?" She said, "Didn't I tell you, don't raise my hopes?" Elisha said to Gehazi, "Tuck your cloak into your belt, take my staff in your hand and run. Don't greet anyone you meet, and if anyone greets you, do not answer. Lay my staff on the boy's face." There's some urgency here. Apparently, he got from what she said that my son is dead, and I need you to take care of the situation. I'm happy that you blessed me with a son, but he's now died. In verse 30, but the child's mother said, "As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So he got up and followed her. She's like, "Okay, I appreciate that you're sending your staff along with your staff to take care of this situation. But I need you, man of God, because I know you've got a connection to God. that your staff doesn't have. And I need you to come to take care of this situation. And I'm not leaving until you leave with me. Verse 31, Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the boy's face. But there was no sound or response. So Gehazi went back to meet Elisha, and he said, the boy has not awakened. Apparently, he listened to his master. He was supposed to run ahead, and he did. He didn't stop along the way. He did, if anyone asked him, he went straight there. Elisha followed in tow along with the Shunammite woman. And then in verse 32, when Elisha reached the house, there was the boy lying dead on his couch. He went in, shut the door on the two of them, and prayed to the Lord. And he got on the bed, and lay on the boy mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. And he stretched himself out on him, and the boy's body grew warm. Elisha turned away and walked back and forth in the room, and then got on the bed and stretched on him once more. And the boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Elisha summoned Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite. And he did. And when she came, he said, take your son. She came in, fell at his feet, and bowed to the ground. And then she took her son and went out. It's amazing when you look at the love of a mother and the concern of a mother, of what she will do. It's interesting, the father, like, well, he's dead. Don't bother with the situation. She's like, no. My son was a gift from God, and I want him back. And I'm going to take matters into my own hands at this point, and I'm going to go back to that man of God who blessed me through God with this son, and I want him back. Well, go if you must, husband says. And then she comes in, and Elisha's staff, Gehazi, sees her, and she's just throwing herself at his feet, and he's trying to tear her away. She's urgent. She's pleading. She's not being polite at this point. She's breaking down barriers. She's humiliating herself as a mother because she loves her son so much and wants him back. And she goes, and she's there, and Elisha sees and says, leave her alone. Let's find out what's going on. We need to take care of this situation. And they travel back. I can just imagine what some of the conversations were along the road as they went back. I don't know how far it was for what they traveled through to get from Mount Carmel to Shunammite, or Shuma, the town that she was from. But I'm sure on that journey, there were times where she would talk to this man of God, to Elisha. And he would most likely assure her along the way, God is in control. God is in control. God is in control. You don't need to worry. It will be according to your faith. You came to the right place. You could have whined and complained, and you could have got mad at your husband, and you could have even got mad at me. But you came to the right place. When we first met, you came to me because I was a man of God, and you wanted to bless me. And what I gave you in return was a relationship with God. And you hung on to that. And you're still wanting to hang on to that. And you're putting your faith in that assurance that God can still take care of the situation. You know, there's still a lot of mothers that are still doing the same thing. That it's interesting because what we're doing on Wednesday nights now is we're spending time as parents talking about some of our kids that have left, that have died spiritually to some degree. And we're trying to figure out, okay, well, how can we, because why? Because there's a yearning in our hearts as parents. And I think more it's mothers that have it a stronger, or as fathers, we look at things very dogmatically, black and white, and it's like, okay, well, these are the reasons, and so therefore we can figure out what happened. But mothers look at it from a emotional side. So we've got to do something about this. I think there's something to be learned from mothers about their empathy, about their love, and about their devotion that they have to their children. I can think of my own mother. It's never stopped, and there are times in my life where I've disappointed her greatly, where I have done things that I should not have. But she's still loved me. She's never said, well, because you did this and you did that, I'm not. There was never that. She would let me go my way, and she would pray fervently. Fervently. And because of the prayers of a mother, we get to turn around. Because of the pleas of her wrapping her feet around Jesus and God and saying, I want to come back. They're hurt. A mother's love is very strong and powerful. And this Shunammite woman, blessed, but never forgot where that blessing came from. That it was from God. And when it was put in jeopardy, she went back to God. A great lesson for us from a mother that to some degree, all of us goes through the same issues all the time. Of putting our children in his trust and asking him to take care of situations that some of the time we have no control over in any way whatsoever. Shunammite woman. She opened her heart to God, and it changed her life and the life of